Hi, and welcome to the live training today. The topic that I'm super excited and just feeling called to share on is when your creation becomes a prison. And I could restate that. I could call it what happens when you feel blocked or you become too attached to something that you've created. And I have a specific example from my life that I'm going to share in this live training. So when your creation becomes a prison, I know that the topic is very dramatic, but it can honestly feel this way. So today I wanted to share about just something really exciting that happened. We finally closed on the house that I posted about over 30 days ago. We knew it was going to be a little bit more than a 30-day close because the person who purchased, him and his wife were pregnant. And so that we knew it was like going to close around the time that they had the baby. They had the baby and they were able to also sign the paperwork and we were able to close the property. So this is a property that I created in my 20s. Now, I've gone live before, and I'm going to link to that video as well, where I've talked about how I created a real estate portfolio using just my creativity and just my inspiration back when I was an art teacher in Los Angeles in my 20s. And I created this first house from pure imagination and pure inspiration. And it was from just having the desire. Like any desire, when you wake up and you realize you wanted to do something, or in my case, I used to stay up late at night looking at real estate listings and dreaming about one day having my own home and not being in a little tiny apartment in Los Angeles. And having the option to how I wanted to put the paint and how I wanted to put the tiles. And I had gone back to get a second credential in interior architectural design at the time. I thought it would be really fun, just as an artist to be able to design spaces. I actually think really visual spatially. That's one of my gifts is I'm able to think in like 3 dimension. And now I see this a lot, like when I create a retreat, I actually realize, and this is the crazy thing, I realize that I'm creating now an event. So it's not just 3 dimensional, it's actually 4 dimensional and 5 dimensional. And it reminds me of the work that I used to do in interior design and also in our artistic direction, which is what I was doing a lot of in my undergrad outside of painting. So that being said, one thing that happened, and maybe you've had it happen too, but I want you to just think for a minute. Have you ever created something that you really, really loved, only to find it become something that became very serious? And instead of the lightness that you once felt around it, it started to feel very heavy. It started to feel like not like an anchor. I mean, we have good anchors, and then we have like anchors that just feel very heavy. And what happened with us is that I got to express all my creativity. I did all the design work little by little. I upgraded each of the units. And then finally, I was able to do the exterior right before we sold it. But because it appreciated and it became worth more and more and more, so it became more valuable, then it became something that we couldn't let go of. We couldn't redo in a different way because, well, we couldn't, right? Because we decided that we couldn't. We became too attached to that thing. So have you ever become really attached to something? And this could literally be one of your paintings. It could be one of your beautiful magical offerings. It could become like, it could be like what you became known for, right? Like this happened to me when I decided to shift or to pivot my niche. Like I was so known for my creative wellness workshops, which I still love and I still love to offer. But when I stepped into intentional, aligned, business and even some life coaching, that was like it was a very big shift. And I'd become very precious about the other work. And what I mean by precious is attached. So something that felt playful, that felt joyful, started to become something very serious, an investment. then my co-investor, right, my husband, and then the tension of the abundance and the fun that I created was feeling stretched, even when things should have felt really, really good. And then that becomes like an emotional weight of attachment. And there's a poem, I'm going to see if I can find it. It's called The Gilded Cage. And what happens is your creation can become the gilded cage unless you're willing to hold your creation more loosely and more playfully, unless you're willing to start to play in the realm of fun and magic and possibility. Now, that is very human, right? To feel that sense of attachment, right? But if you take a few breaths, you can usually feel like, does your creation feel heavy or does it still feel light? And sometimes things feel light when they're new and they're fresh and the energy wants to move. The abundance that you created wants to move. It wants to find a new form. So, what I would love to invite you to do is to reflect on the lessons that I'm sharing inside of this live today, that creation can be both liberating, but it can also feel constricting if we attach to it too lightly, if we're not willing to recreate something or reimagine something, right? And abundance really nourishes us when we allow ourselves to experience it, not to just protect it, right? You see this a lot with people who invest, 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 but then they don't want to recirculate, 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 right? And it almost becomes like a hoarder kind of situation, and it is a scarcity energy, actually, when you're not recirculating some of what you've created. So letting go can be hard, but it opens spaciousness for the next chapter, the next big dream, the next big vision, the next collection, the next mastermind, the next offering. And what I want to invite you to do is to start to play more in your business. And so inside of Awaken Your Magic, so just type the word awaken if you want to be included in that. It's off of my Awaken Your Magic retreat. It's a 21-day challenge where we just really energetically shift and we play games and we do meditations and I give you prompts and you shift the energy around your own magic, and you wake up even more of it and you breathe into spaciousness. So that's the 21-day challenge that we have going. I also have just released my Muse Mastermind, and even my mastermind wanted to take a new form. So I did my very first mastermind was called the Business Growth Group. It was a 6 week or 2 month long mastermind. It was amazing. The women in it were incredible, very elevated, visionary entrepreneurs. And that mastermind has now evolved. This is almost like the sixth evolution. It's called Muse Mastermind. And in this first month, because I usually run my mastermind for 3 months or 4 months, this time it wanted to run for 6 months. And the reason that I decided that was because I wanted spaciousness. And I realized that a lot of times around month 3, people would be either really peaking or really hitting a wall. And that's a time that you need to like just like keep going, or you need to like break through. And so energetically, it's going to run now October through the end of March. And the first month, the invitation is into more pleasure and more play in your business with your creations. And so, if this is resonating with you, if you know that you want to create wild abundance through pleasure and play inside of the Muse Mastermind, where I will help you find, I mean, you're going to find it, but we walk together on a journey to find your creative edge, then send me a DM. You're welcome to come in for a month, or you can snag the early bird, which is a really, really great investment rate for the 6 months. And so I'm going to drop the details below in the comments. And I know it's Friday afternoon, at least it is in Los Angeles. And I'm just going to check in to see if anybody was like commenting because I wasn't keeping my eye on the comments. Okay, so I don't see any comments or questions yet. If you have any, be sure to share them with me. And I hope you have an amazing, amazing weekend. And you're invited into the 21-day challenge. Just drop the word awaken. You're invited into the high proximity mastermind where I will personally coach you and help you to create any kind of results that you desire to create in your life and in your business.